the 2013 European Championship has moved from Germany to Spain and is now ready to deploy the drivers who will join both the KF and the KF Junior categories. Around 150 pilots registered for the event, and they will fight for the continental title on one of the most beautiful, modern and fascinating tracks of the whole world, Aragon's track, a stunning jewel of technology in the Alcaniz motorland area. We are in the southeastern area of Spain, under the slopes of the Pyrenees, which is where the motorland area has thrived and flourished, and its center is the very Alcaniz town, which is home to a plethora of motor competitions. The long racing history of the city, in fact, spurred the growth of a number of automobile, motorbike, road safety or karting events, which thrive on the rich driving background of the city itself. But now let us go back to the track and let us help you envision the complexity of the race, while the English Ben Barnicoat, last year's champion, takes us for a ride on his kart on the twists and turns of the almost 1700 meters of asphalt.
Hello, I'm Ben Barnicoat. I'm the defending KF European champion, and come on board with me for a lap of Alcaniz. So here we're on the exit to the last corner, just going down the straight. So the first corner is easy, full gas, and then after you brake, quite an easy hairpin. But you have to go on the gas quite early to get a good run down to the next hairpin here. So you brake, and here again you need a really good exit because it's a big straight. So in this little chicane you have to be as smooth as possible to make sure you get a good run down the straight. It's really necessary to put down the head. Then here, hard brake, late apex to the corner to get a good run again for the straight. Here you must take it nice and flowing for a good run. Then this one's quite difficult because you drop down a hill and then brake, but the corner's quite fast, so you have to make sure you get your braking point really good. And then here you have to take in a lot of speed, quite slow in the middle of the corner, and then put the gas for a really good exit. Then here, brake early, late apex, try not to go too wide on the exit. Here, a little bit of curb, so it's easy to brake for the last corner. The last corner is really important to get a good run onto the straight, and then it's finished the lap.
Among the new recruits for the Spanish event of the European Championship, the most unexpected is Max Verstappen's presence among the ranks of the hyper-competitive KF series, after he won the Germany event in the KZ1 category. Another expected protagonist of the weekend is the heat. An equatorial summer is dry cracking the southern part of Europe, and the temperature has skyrocketed above the 30 degrees. The heat will probably be the most dangerous of the foes for the pilots in Aragon. During the KF qualifications, the English Lando Norris is able to conquer the pole position just ahead of the German David Beckmann and of the Italian Lorenzo Travisanutto. Lando Norris repeats his feats during the qualifying heats by being the best on the track. Other notable performances are the ones of Matteo Raspatelli, a Belgian with evident Italian origins, and of the German David Beckmann, while the best of the Italian pilots, Lorenzo Travisanutto, turns out 16th in the standings after the qualifying heats. In the pre-finals, the Belgian Matteo Raspatelli and the Thai Sasakon Chaimonkol managed to excel among a group of their strongest opponents. Some of them you might have heard of, going by the names of Norris, Schwarzman, Van Leeuwen, Thompson and Beckmann. In the KF category, the Danish Christian Sorensen pulls off a pole position just ahead of Ben Barnicoat and Niklas Nielsen. During the qualifying heats, the English Ben Barnicoat beats the French Armand Converse and the Canadian Lance Stroll, while in the pre-finals on Sunday morning, Sorensen, Danish and the Dutch Max Verstappen take their toll on the Danish Niklas Nielsen, the French Dorian Buccolacci and the Polish Karol Bas. With the thermometer well above 35 degrees, the first final schedule for Sunday is ready to start at the peak of the heat wave, 2 p.m. On the grid, we can see the drivers of the KF Junior, led by the Thai driver with an English license, Sasakor Chaimankol, who was the best behind the wheel of his Millennium Motorsport Cosmic Kart. At his side, the Belgian Matteo Raspatelli, on a Tony car prepared by Baby Race. The second row is occupied by the stunningly fast Dutch Martin van Leeuwen, behind the wheel of a Zanardi, tuned by the man of Kaiser Racing. On his right, the Russian Robert Schwarzman, driving a Forza Racing Tony kart. Lando Norris, who had started with a bang on Friday by conquering the pole position and who had won the qualification heats hands down, is now starting from the third row. The gritty and quick pilot of the Ricky Flynn Motorsport will have to be the protagonist on an outstanding start if he wants to have any chance to gain the lead. Beside him, the Canadian Thompson on energy. When the lights turn off, the head group moves like a single entity. The Thai Chaimankol takes the lead, followed by the Dutch Van Leeuwen and the English Norris, who seems to have rockets under his engine, since he is already in third place. During the first moments of the race, the German backman makes some mistakes and falls back, out of the head group. Towards the end of the first lap, out of 15, Lando Norris is battling for the second position, but he is beaten to it by the Belgian Raspatelli, who snatches the second place with a masterful external overtake. The battle for the second place allows Chaimankol to earn a 200 meters lead on the determined group of pursuers. At the end of the first lap, this translates in an advantage of more than 1 second over the Belgian Raspatelli, the Dutch Van Leeuwen and the English Lando Norris, chasing in a single column. Behind them, the back alleys of the race, led by the Russian Robert Schwarzman, the Finnish Kari and Thomas Bale. The challenge for second place sparkles between Norris and Van Leeuwen. During the second lap, the British driver attacks Van Leeuwen, overtaking him with a surgically precise overtake. Norris's joy, though, is not long, because during the following turn, the Dutch snaps back like a cobra and goes back into third position with a beautiful and determined pass. In the meantime, the leader of the race, the Thai Chaimankol, is not able to exploit the battle which is being fought behind his back. On the contrary, during the second lap, he gives up half a second of the total advantage he had stashed on during the first run. While the head of the race remains temporarily unchanged, the Finnish Kari and the Russian Schwarzman exchange positions, while the head group, Raspatelli, Leeuwen and Norris, form a line and speed up in order to get into lonely Chaimankol's wake. 2 laps go by without anyone being able to snatch or exchange position with someone else. Quite the opposite actually, because all of a sudden everyone seems focused into closing the gap which had opened at the start of the race between the Thai and his pursuers. During the 5th lap, a new attack is brought by the English Lando Norris, who, showing precise and fast driving, overtakes the Dutch Van Leeuwen. Obviously, the Dutch shifts in a counter-attack and tries to recover his position during the following bend. This time though, Lando knows who he's dealing with, and Van Leeuwen is kicked back into 4th place. At the end of the 5th lap, the Thai Chaimankol has half a second margin on the Raspatelli-Norris couple, while behind them Van Leeuwen, Kari, Bale, Schwarzman, Thompson and the French Brian Elpitia, immediately ahead of David Beckman, now in 10th position. During the 6th lap, the Finnish Kari is able to enter the spotlight when he overtakes Van Leeuwen, bringing him only 1 step away from the podium. But once again, the joy is fleeting, and the Dutch immediately goes back to the 4th position. Bale also joins the fray, in hope of improving his placement by exploiting the dueller's lack of attention to external stimuli. The fight for the 4th position allows the temporary occupiers of the podium to catch a break from the rest of the pilots. And so, during the 7th lap, the Thai Chaimankol is 6/10 ahead of the Raspatelli and Norris couple, while the latter pushes the former in ever quicker laps and records his best time on the lap. In the meantime, Van Leeuwen once again pops into 4th position, overtaking the Finnish Kari, who slows down after a contact with Bale. During the 8th lap, Norris can start reaping the fruits he had sown. In fact, Raspatelli is forced to switch gears by the constant pressure of the English, and now the gap with the Thai is considerably reducing. During lap number 9, the Ricky Flynn pilot is finally able to overtake Raspatelli, who tries to get back at him but fails. Norris is now only 5/10ths away from the first position, and the true challenge for supremacy begins now. And so, Norris starts approaching Chimonko. His experience is put to the test, while meters roll away under his wheels, and millisecond after millisecond he is able to accrue a decent amount of time, which nibbles Chimonko's advantage. The Englishman seems confident that he could still attack the top position, even if only 4 laps are left before the flapping of the final checkered flag. 3 laps to go, and 3 cars in 3/10ths of a second will speed through the finish line. This is a test to Norris' worth for being able to sniff the Thai's wake, and it is a heavy price to pay for those drivers who were not able to maintain their advantage. During the 13th lap, Norris pushes forward attacking the first position, but Chimonko is able to fend him off, even if he now realizes that the last laps are going to be harder than expected. Also, Raspatelli is part of the game for the first position now. During lap 14, Norris is basically Chimonko's stalking shadow. When the Thai floors the accelerator even further, Norris keeps up the pace, while Raspatelli falls some meters behind. The last lap and a half is toxically exciting. The English is so close to the Thai that he almost collides with him. Both of them feel the heat, but positions don't change. At the start of the last lap, Norris snaps once again. When Chimonko turns around and sees him so close, he decides to curdle up in a ball for better aerodynamics, but Norris exploits that fraction of a second of indecision to overtake him. Norris is first, but during a sloping piece of track, the Thai's cars collides with Norris's, who skids and swerves, allowing Chimonko to gain a margin of half a second. While Norris is now forced to protect his second place from Raspatelli's attack, the Thai passes under the checker flag and wins the final, followed by Lando Norris, Raspatelli, and Van Leeuwen. A sparkling finale where 4 real protagonists will fight until only one wins. On the podium, we can find the Belgian Raspatelli, the English Norris, and the Thai Chimonko on the highest step. The race judges will, though, review all that happened during the event, and will eventually consider irregular the collision between Chimonko and Norris. And so the final standing will promote the British Norris to the first position, and Raspatelli and Van Leeuwen to second and third placements, respectively. With a 10 seconds penalty, Chimonko slides back into 14th position.
Francesco.
After the ceremony is done, the grid starts filling with the KF pilots, ready for the first of the 2 finals, which will be decisive for the Continental Champion title. The first row is occupied by 2 of the main suitors to the European title, the Danish Christian Sorensen on a Tony Kart and the Dutch Max Verstappen on a CRG. In the second row, we can find another 2 very energetic and dangerous pilots, the Danish Nicolas Nielsen and the French Dorian Boccolacci, the former on a Cosmic and the latter behind the wheel of an Energy. Behind them, in third position, we can find the Polish Karol Baz and the young Canadian Lance Stroll, the first on Tony Kart and the second on a Zanardi. The first 3 laps of the final are void. In fact, the thick tension on the track is such as to force the race judges to flap red flags, get into the fray and talk to the drivers, especially to the leader Christian Sorensen, in pole position and thus head of the warm-up lap, and better explain the behavioral rules of this track, especially right after the last bend. At the third endeavor, the troops are compact and the battle can begin. When the engines start roaring, Sorensen does not leave a single centimeter for his opponents to exploit. Behind him, Nicklas Nielsen and Max Verstappen, who is using 2 new tires and 2 used ones. Given the extreme heat, we hope this will not cause him any grip problems during the last part of the race. In the meantime, behind Verstappen, the Polish Karol Bas builds up a positive pressure, and is in turn attacked by Gonzalez and Boccolacci. The first of the 18th lap is more than enough to create individual duels. The 2 Danish Sorensen and Nielsen fighting for the lead, and Verstappen and Bas trying to get into third position. But it is way too early to say anything conclusive, and in fact, during the second lap, Verstappen tries to tie loose ends and pushes to get closer to the leading couple. His reckless pushing though leaves the service door open for Bas, who does not ask for permission, and overtakes the surprise Dutch. In the top positions, Nielsen, after careful study of his opponents, attacks Sorensen and gains the first position. Pilots having 4 unused tires, like Nielsen and Bas, are now taking advantage of their better performing karts, while Sorensen and Verstappen struggle to keep up. The final goes on, while the leading couple is opening a gap between them and the chasing duo. In the meantime, in the main group of the race, Felice Tiene's performance is definitely not worthy. Starting out as 30th, the Italian driver is now 14th after only 3 laps. In the meantime, Pedrito Hiltbrand is able to overtake Gonzalez and shifts up into 5th position. Nielsen at the same time is racing with a very taxing pace. The Danish in fact knows that he has an interesting advantage on his opponents thanks to the tire set, and is willing to exploit this difference from the very beginning. At the end of the 4th lap, Verstappen is willing to debunk some old myths, and notwithstanding his inferior tire set, overtakes Bas and chalks down the record lap for the track. While the first 4 positions fight a cold war, behind them, nuclear warfare has already happened, with Boccolacci going berserk on Gonzalez and Hiltbrand, forming a triplet which will surely be interesting to follow. At the end of the 6th lap, Nielsen has a 1.4 seconds advantage on Verstappen, who is right now the fastest pilot on the track. In the 7th lap, the French Monod hits Ben Barnicoat from behind, thus ruining the experience to the whole ARC Grand Prix team. In the same lap, Tiene records another impressive lap, and is now 8th after an impressive performance. During lap number 8, Max Verstappen pushes hard on his accelerator and reduces the gap with the leading couple by 0.2 of a second. Same story for the 9th lap, where Max shows that he has not lost his will to win. During the 10th lap, Verstappen's comeback is almost complete, and he is now in contact with the very top of the race, 7 laps away from the checkered flag. But Nielsen is not one to be intimidated, and it doesn't take him much to remind Verstappen that Nielsen's kart is also provided with an accelerator pedal. In 1 lap, he recovers almost all of the advantage that Verstappen had been nibbling through in the past 6 laps. In the meantime, behind them, something unexpected happens when the French Nicolas Gonzalez and the Spanish Pedro Hiltbrand collide and their karts spin out of the track, giving Felice Tiene his 6th position. Even in the back alleys of the race, where the cameras do not arrive, one cannot but expect the determination of young drivers such as Mark Litchfield, who after having left from the 28th position is able to perform nicely throughout the final. This confirms that in an European reference frame, all of the drivers which can make it to the grid are worth the camera time they're given, whatever that may be. Litchfield will close down the competition in 22nd position. Going back to the head of the race, during the 14th lap, Verstappen keeps on pushing the boundaries and goes back to being the fastest on the track. With a full sequence of quick laps, it gets close and personal to the Danish duo, still very close. During the 15th lap, Tiene is on Boccolacci's trail and he is ready to conquer the 5th position, while Verstappen keeps on racing as if demons were providing him with hellfire in his combustion chamber. Two laps to go and Max is now ready for the final fight, but Sorensen seems capable of fending off his attacks for now. In the meantime, Boccolacci and Tiene fight restlessly, and the Italian is finally able to overtake the French, earning a well-deserved 5th position. During the last lap, Verstappen's attacks on Sorensen get intimidating, and the outcome of the 2nd position is unknown, while the 1st position seems decided, with Nielsen soaring through the track with no one dangerous behind him. After the last bend, Verstappen and Sorensen have overlapping trajectories, and they get ready for the final dash. While the flag gives Nielsen the point he deserves, Sorensen is able to win the duel with the energetic Verstappen by a scant 44 milliseconds. Verstappen and the Danish drivers shake hands at the end of the race, in sign of mutual respect for outstanding talent. Baz is 4th, just right before a 5th Felice Tiene. On the podium, we can see the 3rd step being claimed by Max Verstappen, which shows once more that his talent is now ripe for automobile races. In 2nd position we can find Christian Sorensen with a well-deserved 2nd placement. The first victory useful for the 2013 European Champion title goes to Niklas Nielsen, another pilot which has shown impressive maturity and skills. At the end of the ceremony, we talked a bit with the race winner Niklas Nielsen.
Yeah, I mean, already in Genk we show good pace, and we have been showing good pace all year. So I think this is by the time we start to get in the top of the drivers, and I really don't have any words for it. It's just an amazing feeling. I just want to say thank you, of course, to the team and OTK and Vortex Indians.
So, at the end of the first two 2013 European Championship events, the rankings state that in the KF Junior, the English Lando Norris is in the lead with 25 points, followed by the Belgian Matteo Raspatelli with 20 points, and by the Dutch Martin van Leeuwen with 16 points. In the KF category, the Danish Niklas Nielsen is leading with 25 points, followed by his fellow countryman Christian Sorensen at 20, and third is the Dutch Max Verstappen with 16 points. The KF and KF Junior categories, European champions for 2013, will be decided on the Ortona track event on the 21st of July.